guys, really quickly, I wanted to set this video up. This week is Inclusive Schools Week, and I got an invitation to speak at a middle school in Atlanta, Georgia, and I also brought some of my kiddos along who volunteered to share their story of being individuals with learning differences. Man, my heart is so full right now because I am extremely proud of them. They spoke so articulately. I did not get the entire presentation, but it was enough because this video is going to be pretty long. So I probably will do another follow-up video to get their reaction soon. Enjoy. Make sure you subscribe and comment below.
Awesome. Good morning. Good morning. I see now that I have to wake you guys up. Bless it. Like Miss Stacy said, I am Cindy Lumpkin. All right, so I need to know who I have in the room. Now, I heard that there was some sixth graders here. Yay? Nay? We have a few. Okay, so let me hear you, sixth graders. All right, well, you know, sixth graders are kind of new. They still shy, right? Now, I know we have a more mature group. What about the seventh graders? Okay. A teacher after my own heart. She has some school spirit. Okay. What about my eighth graders? Where are you? Hey. The eighth graders always do it. Like they're just ready to get up out of here, right? So you guys know who I am. We know who you are. But I didn't have my students to introduce themselves. Ashanti, could you go ahead and get that mic and turn it on and introduce yourself real quick?
Hi, my name is Ashanti Griffith. I am in the 7th grade here at Triumph Transitions Institute, Miss Lumpkin. And I am 12 years old, and I am a cheerleader.
Hi, my name is Tatiana Hunter. I am 13 years old. I am a student at Triumph Transition Institution. I am a YouTuber and yeah, I like pink.
Hi, my name is Daisy Brathwaite, and I'm an actor, and I go to Miss Lumpkin School.
I just love my students. Aren't they awesome? Let me ask you something. Do you guys find school fun? No. School isn't fun. Well, listen. School should be fun, okay? School should be fun. So, what I would like to do is to do something that perhaps might be a little fun. Miss Stacy, if you would, could you please get that clicker out for me? I forgot to do it. All right, so it's Christmas time, right? Yeah. You guys need money for Christmas gifts? Yeah. Okay. All right, listen up. So I have a little prize for someone. You have to earn it though, okay? And look, I'm going to be real vulnerable with you guys. Do you know what that means? Like, I'm going to be sharing my heart and my passions. And sometimes you might be like, who is this weird, quirky lady up here? But that's okay because, you know, I've learned to love me. All right, if you're ready to win a prize, here's what you have to do. So, I like to dance. The only thing is I'm not a great dancer, okay? And one of the dances that I've been trying to perfect forever is the floss. Now, I know it's kind of old, right? But I'm old and I'm still learning. So, I need about 3 people who will commit to a dance-off with me. I've been practicing. My students worked with me on yesterday. All right, let's see. I think I did see his hand first. All right, come on now, real quickly. This is Inclusive Students Week. On stage. All right. This is Inclusive Students Week. Okay. I don't see any females. I need a young lady. I need a young lady who will join me. All right. No, come on. No. All right. It's gonna be me good now.
That's what we do. All
right, go ahead. Ooh. Oh! Oh my God! Oh my God! Okay, good job. I get it. You got it. Confident.
You gotta do this like you do this in real life.
All right, good job. Way to go. All right, young man, show us how to do it now. Be confident. For the person you think should win, okay? And frankly, I think I did the best. But that's just my opinion. Awesome job. I didn't get any love from you guys, but I still love you, okay? But we awesome. All right. So who knows why we're celebrating Inclusive Schools Week? Show of hands. I'm not going to call on you. Who knows why we're celebrating Inclusive Schools Week? Okay, that's all right. The purpose of Inclusive Schools Week is to celebrate the human experience. And the fact that we should be inclusive of all people, especially those from marginalized people due to their disability, gender, socioeconomic status, cultural heritage, language preference, and a host of other factors. Now, if you didn't find yourself or didn't see yourself in one of those groups, if you keep digging, I'm sure that you could possibly relate to some type of marginalized group. Now, one goal for this week is to increase the level of knowledge and understanding about disabilities. And that's why I am here today. Raise your hand if you heard the word disability before. Let me see it. Okay. I would have thought it'd been everybody. Okay. Now, keep your hand up if you understand what a disability is. All right. Now, have another question for you. Do I look like a person with a disability? No? Yes? I got a yes? Okay, I got no's. If you think I have a disability, raise your hand. I got one person. Okay, I'm cute. If you think I do not have a disability, let me see your hand.
And nobody raised their hand.
Okay, and then we have a host of people who did not respond. All righty. Well, listen, I want to start out by telling you a story about an anonymous student. I'm going to pick up the story at about the age of 5. What importance happens at the age of 5? Kindergarten? Yeah, it's kindergarten, right? And aren't most students really excited about starting school?
No.
Most students are excited. It's a pretty big milestone, okay? But this young lady was very excited about starting school. She loved learning. She loved going to school and being with her friends. But something quickly happened. Instead of getting smiley faces on all of her work, she always got sad faces. And she didn't understand why, because she worked really, really hard. And by the end of kindergarten, guess what her teacher told her mother? Yeah, the teacher recommended that she repeat kindergarten. But her mother, who was an advocate, said, kindergarten is not a grade. students don't repeat kindergarten. No, she will be moved on to the first grade because she knew all of her alphabets and she could count. She just wasn't reading quite yet. So the little girl was passed to the first grade. Guess what happened? When all of the students started the reading groups, this young lady wasn't assigned to a reading group. What? And at the end of the year, exactly what you said, she was held back. So she had to repeat first grade. Then she passed successfully that following year to the second grade. But something happened again. What do you think that was? She started having a very difficult time in school. This time she wasn't held back because they didn't want to hold her back twice so soon. So she was pushed on to the third grade. And matter of fact, her report card read placed in the third grade. What that meant was she really didn't earn the right to go to the third grade. They just didn't want an older student being in second grade. So that young lady continued to do poorly in school until fourth grade, when one of her teachers said, you know what, I think there's something more seriously wrong with this young lady. She's having difficulties in school. We can tell that she's a bright student, but something is not clicking. So she was evaluated for the special education program. And after the evaluations were done, it was found that she had a learning disability. Dyslexia, to be exact. How many of you have heard the word dyslexia? Okay, that's good. When I was your age, I had never heard of that word. I didn't learn it until I was a full-blown adult. So, in the fifth grade, she started receiving special education services. Guess what happened to her self-esteem along this entire journey? Can you guess? What happens to students who come to school and they want to learn so bad, but they get in a classroom and they hear the teacher talk, or they might be called on to read and then they get nervous and they can't read? What do you think will happen to someone who experienced that? They get scared, right? Do you think that impacts their self-esteem? Yes, so this young girl started to develop self-esteem issues. But the notice of her being dyslexic was a good thing because she eventually started to learn the things that she needed to know in order to become a very fluent reader. That young lady was me. And I had a very difficult time in school. So you see, you can't always judge someone by the way they look, right? Not only do I have a disability, I am a woman in a male-driven society. I am a black woman. I grew up in a working-class, poor family. My mother was a high school dropout and a teen mom. By definition, I am your representation of what it means to be marginalized. Do you know what that word means? Marginalized? Marginalized means when a person or a group is treated insignificant. That means you don't matter. That means you're walking down the street and people look at you and make judgments about you, and they just feel like you don't have anything to offer to this world. In our society, we like to put people in little boxes, especially people that we don't understand, especially people who it may take you a little longer to get used to or to figure out. But I believe all of that is changing, and it's changing with each of you. It's going to be your generation who starts to right the wrongs of the past. Why? Not because one may have a disability, not because one may be black or white or rich or poor, but because we are all human. Now, growing up with a disability and having found out in the 5th grade, that's pretty late, right? And then coming from a very poor family, I was really blessed to probably attend one of the most successful elementary schools in our county. And I really think that is what made the difference. And then I also came along when special education wasn't a huge thing. So there wasn't a lot of us at my school, so I got a lot of individual attention. And I'm proud to say to you guys that even though my road was long and hard, and even when I was younger and I dreamed of maybe going to college and I didn't realize that it would be accessible to me, I overcame all of that. By the time I got to high school, I graduated at the top of my class. I went on to college, graduated at the top of my class. I was voted Miss Virginia Union University, something that I am extremely proud of because I rep my HBCU. I eventually went on to graduate school. Graduated from Clark, Atlanta with a master's degree in educational leadership. I see you, all right. I went on to meet the man of my dreams. Something as a young girl, I didn't believe anybody would love me. And so to be able to grow up and to do all of those things, to marry the man of my dreams, and then to have two precious daughters, my dreams came true. Now, that doesn't always happen to people. Why? I believe, you remember when I told you that sometimes we put people in boxes? Sometimes when you get put in a box too much, you stay there. And I decided that I did not want to stay there. I had goals and I had dreams. Can any of you relate to what I'm saying so far? Yes, no, okay, I see you. Thank you for your honesty. Who knows what that says? Shame's prisoner. I actually wrote this book. The first time, initially when I wrote it, it was called Destined for Success. And then years later, I rewrote it. And there was a reason. The reason is, I believe the biggest disability in life is having shame. We all experience it at some point in our lives. However, most of us don't know we're dealing with it. You see, often we get it confused with embarrassment. And I was grown before I understood that I had deep emotional issues as a result of the label that I carried and the experience that I had in school with my difficulties with learning. In fact, I'm gonna tell you guys a real funny story, okay? This is one of the examples I use to show the difference between embarrassment and shame. So this is embarrassment, okay? I was in my high school chemistry class, and one of my friends wrote a very inappropriate word on a piece of paper, okay? Very inappropriate, but he didn't spell it correctly on purpose. So he spelled it differently, and at the time, I think it was just kind of cool to say this word. And he wrote it on my paper, and he passed it to me. And they were all kind of like playing a joke on me. And so I remember getting the paper, looking at it, and it wasn't a word that I was familiar with. So I'm sure in my head, I was like trying to decode the word. And then eventually the light bulb went off, and I was kind of like shocked, you know? In a funny way, because I got the joke. And everybody else that was in on it saw my shock, and they just bust out laughing. And I was overcome with so much laughter that I got up and I was running out the classroom. But guess what happened? I tripped over a book bag and fell in the trash can. And my chemistry teacher, who was this very stoic lady, bust out laughing too. And the entire class was just laughing all over the place. And I got the joke. So it wasn't that my feelings was too hurt, but I was embarrassed, right? And when I tell that story today, I can laugh at myself. That's what embarrassment is. Embarrassment is something short term. You end up getting over it. But shame is different. Shame causes you to hide. Shame causes you to be silent. Shame is a deep emotional thing that you experience that can prevent you from being the best that you can be. But once I realized that what I was dealing with was shame, I started to do the work to repair my self-esteem. Now, I don't know if you guys know what an overachiever is. Do you know what that means? Like being an overachiever? Sometimes students who are in special education develop one or two things. They either develop learned helplessness, and that's when you encounter failure so much that you just give up. Being an overachiever means that you work so hard to prove that you are good enough. And both of them are extremes, and that in a place that you don't want to be in. And so when I was your age, I didn't know that I was dealing with these things. I didn't understand the big emotional impact that having a label did to my self-esteem. But I have some young people who are here today who are like years above where I was when I was their age. When I was their age, I could not own the word learning disability. And to be honest, even as an adult, I still have a hard time with it. I either refer to myself as having dyslexia or a learning difference. But I also realize one of the best ways that you can really learn to love, or one of the best ways I learned to love myself, was accepting the fact that I was different, and that different was okay. And so I want to show you some examples of some young people your age. Maybe some of you can relate to them, maybe some of you can't. But there are young people who are your age who are learning to accept themselves the way that they are. Ashanti, could you share with them the learning difference that you have?
Yes, so I have ADHD and dyslexia. And ADHD is like where I sit down for a minute and I have to get up and walk around every few minutes. And ADHD and dyslexia affects me is that my comprehension and my focus. And I'm learning to focus.
All right, thank you. Tatiana, can you share with us your learning difference?
Well, my learning differences is ADHD and bipolar disorder. That affects me because I can't really get along or build a relationship with other people. Also, my ADHD affects me because I can't stay focused in class.
So tell us some of the strategies you use to be able to cope with different situations that come your way.
Well, some of the strategies I use is, some of my coping skills I use are maybe walking out the class and taking a break, count to 10, or maybe talking to my teacher about my problems.
Do you feel that over the course of the years that you've known about your learning difference that you have improved?
Yes, I do. One of them are, well, I'm trying, I'm still working on it. Well,
I think you're doing an excellent job.
it's trying to get along with people, but sometimes it can be hard. So I'm still working on doing it, but
Okay, that's good. Mr. Jason, what about you?